When it comes to the various jutsu that we've seen in the Naruto world, there are some that have produced some very iconic moments, like the water dragon jutsu that Kakashi and Zabuza used against each other back in the Land of Waves arc. Then there are others like the Rasengan, which Naruto's used like 900 times in fights, and then you have abilities like the perfect Susanoo that Madara used to destroy an entire mountain range. However, for as impressive as each of those jutsu are, and for as iconic as those moments are where they're used, there are other jutsu that exist that don't get as much praise as deserved by Naruto fans, which is sad given how amazing they are. Like this jutsu we're going to be covering today, which is coming with an enormous cost of chakra and is hands down one of the most broken space-time jutsu in the series, and for a really good reason. On top of it coming at the price of an enormous amount of chakra, it's not something any shinobi can perform because it is a technique that is only made possible if someone has the Kekkei Mora of Kaguya Otsutsuki. That's why in today's newest edition of the Ninjutsu Handbook over here on Naruto Explained, we're going to be taking a look at the jutsu known as the Amenominaka and break down everything you need to know from the mechanics of the jutsu, the requirements to use it, why it's so special, as well as all the relevant information and inspiration that Kishimoto took in order to create the jutsu itself. So in order to perform the space-time ninjutsu known as the Amenominaka, you must first meet the extremely rare condition of having a Kekkei Mora, in particular the one that belongs to Kaguya via her Rinne Sharingan. This is the jutsu that we see Kaguya use when she shifts dimensions in real time, but in order to understand why it's so broken and why it stunned Kakashi, we must first look at what a Kekkei Mora is. So this isn't to be confused with, say, a Kekkei Genkai, like say the Sharingan or the Byakugan, or something like Ice Release, which combines two changes in chakra nature in order to perform it, nor is it to be confused with a Kekkei Toda, which is what you get when you combine three changes in chakra nature for something like, say, particle style. In order to get a Kekkei Mora, you must come directly from Kaguya's immediate bloodline. The fourth official Naruto databook doesn't tell us in detail what a Kekkei Mora is, outside of it again coming from Kaguya's direct bloodline, but it should be worth noting that the techniques and abilities we've seen classified all have one thing in common when it comes to Kekkei Mora, which is that they share a connection with the people who have all been Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails. Hence, Kaguya's Byakugan is listed as a Kekkei Mora instead of a Kekkei Genkai, and the Rinne Sharingan that she possessed and Madara possessed, that too is listed as a Kekkei Mora, and Hagoromo's Rinnegan is also listed as one. The point being, this bloodline trait puts you directly in line with Kaguya's power, and it isn't some watered down mutation that is a byproduct of 1,000 years of generations, like say Kimimura's Bone Jutsu, which is a copy of Kaguya's murderous Ash Bone Jutsu, which that too is a Kekkei Mora. So with Amenominaka, this jutsu is used when Kaguya activates her Rinne Sharingan. In one instance, she can move the world that she's in and everything and everyone around her in her immediate vicinity to another dimension. This power, according to the fourth databook, is stated to create dimensions as Kaguya pleases. It is a signature power of her Rinne Sharingan that she awakened. The databook also tells us that the places she can move to are dimensions of lava, ice, supergravity, sand, and acid. The 5 dimensions are also connected by her own personal time space, but the trade-off is that each time she uses this jutsu to instantaneously move to dimensions, it eats up an enormous amount of chakra, with the databook stating that only Kaguya has enough chakra in the Naruto manga to perform this jutsu, which lines up with Hagoromo's statement that Kaguya was rivaled by none other when asked by Naruto if Hagoromo was weaker than Kaguya, which he confirms. The fourth databook also goes on to state that she forcibly drags the person into the dimension, and there is literally no counter to this attack. Whereas Itachi's famous for saying all jutsu have a weakness that you can use to counter it, this one has no weakness in order to counter. As long as Kaguya has enough chakra to perform it, there's no fighting back against it. You just have to let the jutsu run its course. To put further emphasis on how this is different from all the other space-time jutsu that we've seen in this series, allow me to put it this way. So with a summoning jutsu, you're summoning another object from another origin point, or you're reverse summoning yourself to another dimension. With this jutsu, she is literally changing the dimension by bringing it to her and all of her targets in real time at high speed, so fast that someone like Kakashi was convinced this was a genjutsu because it was instantaneously. This jutsu also by extension removes all traces of your chakra from the area. However, even for someone like Kaguya with her monstrous reserves of chakra, she can't spam this jutsu too much, because when she does so, and she uses it less than a handful of times in Naruto's manga, she's shown getting heavily fatigued due to the chakra expenditure. It should also be worth noting that each of these dimensions that she instantaneously transports to each have their own solar system with stars stars and moons and suns, as we see in the Naruto one-shot manga for the day Naruto became Hokage, where we see Sasuke going through one of Kaguya's dimensions, and there are stars and moons and other planets in the distance, which is another reason for this high chakra expenditure, because she isn't just moving some small dimension. She is basically moving a whole ass solar system each time that she does so, which, as you would expect, that comes at a very high chakra price. What makes this jutsu so special also is that those who are subjected to it, in terms of its effects, they keep their immediate position due to the jutsu being instantaneously. So say if you're standing next to someone in one dimension while reaching out to touch an ally and Kaguya use it, then you'll be able to stay in that exact same position as before, which means when used strategically, she can summon you to the lava dimension like she did with Team 7 to burn everyone alive, or she can summon you to the acid dimension to do the same thing. It should also be worth noting that Kaguya does have the ability to control exactly where someone appears when she uses this jutsu. So going back to the Team 7 example, she had the members of Team 7 in a position, had they not been thinking quickly enough, they could have fallen to their deaths. Another example being when she transported the ice dimension to her, she timed the power in a way that had Naruto and Sasuke literally frozen in ice when they attempted to seal her. It's for this reason that when Kakashi first sees it, he goes from thinking maybe this is an elaborate genjutsu due to the elaborate detail of the dimensions, to trying to wrap his head around the possibility that Kaguya was outright rewriting reality. It's a further sign of this power in that it is well beyond the comprehension of even a noted genius like Kakashi, where both of his examples that he came out to understand it, both of them were completely off the mark. It is a power that goes beyond human comprehension. What also makes this jutsu stand out is the fact that it, like a lot of other powers and abilities in the Naruto world, it can trace back their mechanics and their origins to some form of Buddhism or Japanese Shinto, which in this case is going to be the latter. So this jutsu is taken from the Japanese deity named Amenominaka Nuushi, the god who is said to be the center of the universe, which is why Kaguya's dimensions that she accesses using her Rinne Sharingan and this jutsu, and all the dimensions are connected to one main dimension, which serves as the center, the anchor point, if you will. Think of the center dimension where she sent Naruto and Sasuke, where she got sealed away. Think of that like being the circle, and all the other dimensions are just branches off of it. The deity that this is based off of was considered to be one of the first gods to ever come into existence. Just as in the Naruto world, Kaguya was the first person Naruto's manga referred to as being the mother of Chakra, the top of the top, before changes were made to Boruto's manga, where we now know that Kaguya is just a low-level thought Otsutsuki. In Shinto, this god that Kishimoto named this jutsu after was the one who was the first god to appear in the heavenly realm, Taka Maharaga, after the concepts of heaven and earth were born. It was viewed as the first god of creation, just as Kaguya was the first to bring chakra to the Naruto world, hence the nickname that she got on earth, where she's called the rabbit goddess. This god, on top of being one of the first creation gods, the first in actuality, it was also a god that hid itself and its presence, just as Kaguya herself hid herself on earth after she betrayed Ishiki and consumed the chakra fruit. She happens to have a jutsu such as this, the Amenominaka, which allows her to transport herself to various dimensions, essentially continuously able to hide herself and her presence from the two Otsutsuki, Momoshiki and Kenshiki, who she writes down in her scroll that she's afraid of because they're coming to kill her for eating the chakra fruit. In some of the stories, this god is also associated with gravity itself, which is why in one of Kaguya's dimensions, it is known as the gravity dimension, which also explains why in the gravity dimension, you have those triangles that Team 7 were being put in a position where they were being pushed down on when they were there, because in ancient times, criminals, they were forced to kneel down on those wedges that were shaped like triangles, and they had stone slabs placed on their bodies to force them to kneel until they got killed. The stone slabs are replaced in this example by Kaguya's dimension having gravity, and the stone wedges, they're still there. But it makes you go back to Obito dying in this dimension and see how poetic it is in that he's a criminal who died in this very dimension, modeled after a practice to kill hardened criminals in the past. Well, that might be it for this edition of the Ninjutsu Handbook. Over here on the left, we have the video going into extensive detail about all of Kaguya's dimension, going over facts like the one you just heard about the gravity dimension. And over here on the right, we have another video from my Anime Explained channel for you guys to check out if you want to hear me talk about more stuff besides Naruto and Boruto.